Hey everybody, it's Larry with Flying L Comics. Today we have a really special unboxing of two key books that were integral in the creation of the Comic Code Authority. Now a little bit of history on that. The Comic Code Authority came about from the Senate hearings on juvenile delinquency, and EC Comics was very much involved with that. So let's give a little bit of history.
In the vibrant era of the 1950s, comic books were the heart of American pop culture. EC Comics, with their bold narratives, captivated the readers. But as their popularity soared, so did concerns. Critics argued that comics were contributing to the juvenile delinquency, prompting the government to step in. In the early 1950s, comics were the scapegoats for societal ills, and psychologist Dr. Frederick Wertham's book, Seduction of the Innocent, fanned the flames. His claims that linked comic book content to juvenile delinquency sparked a national debate. The subcommittee hearings were a spectacle, with senators questioning the moral impact of comics. Publishers, creators, and fans alike were drawn into the national debate. At the center of it all was EC Comics, defending their creative freedom against the backdrop of a growing unease. During this period, the genres of crime and horror comic books were flourishing, with titles like The Vault of Horror, weird fantasy, and crime suspense stories. Rather than the humorous stories of newspaper comic strips, these comic books were filled with gory crime and grotesque supernatural creatures. About 1/4 of all comic books, or 20 million issues a month, fell into the crime and horror category. Even J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, warned that a comic book which is replete with the lurid and the macabre, and which ridicules decency and honesty, may corrupt susceptible children. Fear of the comic book menace was so intense that the Senate convened hearings on April 21st, April 22nd, and June 4th of 1954 to determine whether comic books were corrupting the nation's youth. The subcommittee hearings were a spectacle, with senators questioning the moral impact of comics. Publishers, creators, and fans alike were drawn into a national debate. At the center of it all was EC Comics, defending their creative freedom against the backdrop of growing unease. The Senate hearings were a battleground. Publishers, psychologists, and politicians collided. The nation watched as the comic industry faced its greatest threat. Among those defending the art form was Bill Gaines, the bold head of EC Comics. In the Senate subcommittee hearings on juvenile delinquency, publishers like EC found themselves under the microscope, defending their horror and crime stories against accusations of immorality and violence. This period marked a pivotal moment in comic book history. In a defiant stand, Bill Gaines advocated for creative freedom, arguing for the merits and morality of comics. His passionate defense highlighted the conflict between artistic expression and societal norms, a debate that would shape the industry's future. Enter Dr. Frederick Wertham, a psychiatrist on a mission. His book, Seduction of the Innocent, claimed comics were poisoning young minds. His alarming accusations gained national attention and fueled the drive for governmental regulation. Many of his conjectures, particularly about hidden sexual themes such as images of female nudity concealed in drawings of mussels and tree bark, or Batman and Robin as gay lovers, were met with skepticism from his fellow mental health professionals, but found an audience in those concerned with public morals. In extensive testimony before the committee, Wertham restated arguments from his book and pointed to comics as a major cause of juvenile crime. Wertham repeated his call for national legislation based on public health ideal that would prohibit circulation and display of comic books to children under the age of 15. The committee's questioning of Bill Gaines focused on violent scenes of the type Wertham had decreed. Though the committee's final report did not blame comics for crime, recommended that the comic industry tone down its content voluntarily. Possibly taking this as a veiled threat of potential censorship, publishers developed the Comic Code Authority to censor their own content. The Code of Comics Magazine Association of America, Incorporated, was announced to the public on October 26, 1954, almost 70 years ago. The result of those hearings would impact the comic book industry for decades. Imposing strict guidelines to sanitize content, the code not only transformed the landscape of comic storytelling, but also ignited conversations about censorship and artistic freedom. The effects of these hearings and the code resonated for decades, shaping the comic industry and questioning the balance between creativity and societal norms. It was a tale of art, controversy, and the power of public opinion. This chapter of comic history reminds us of the complex interplay between media and morality.
Okay, so let's move on. Let's open up the box, and I'll show you these two classics that I have been waiting a very, very long time to get. People that have different grails that they want to collect. My taste right now are towards Golden Age comic books. Those are the only ones that are really holding their value. It's more like when the market's down, you invest in gold and other things like that, securities that hold their value. Golden Age will never lose value, and that's the best part about it. Silver Age, modern, copper, they all fluctuate. They go up and down, up and down. And the market's pretty flat right now, and you guys have heard me talk about that several times. So during COVID, we had a booming market. It was great. I mean, everybody made great deals, and we really had a good time. So let's go ahead and open these up. One thing about Heritage, they always package super, super well, especially some of these more valuable books. So, here is our first book. Now, this was used in the hearings. The good doctor cited this as one of the Seduction of the Innocents in his book that he wrote. So I'm very happy to acquire this. It's a 4.5 grade. It's really awesome to have this for the collection. So let's go ahead and take out the next book. Let me get rid of this. And this is one that I've been seeking for a long time. This, as you may have seen, is in some of the videos. Now, the market value on this one is fairly high. It's in a 4.5 grade, and you're not going to find these books in really high grades. The market value on this book is around $2,500, but I've seen them online for sale for somewhere. I think the last one I saw, the guy was asking $4,500, another guy was asking almost $5,000 for it. So I'm going to keep these. These are not for sale on my website. So these are personal grails that I want for myself, and I will put them in there. But I just wanted to share them with you all. I'm just super, super happy to acquire these. Great investments. I highly recommend Golden Age books, especially the pre-code horror books. So anyway, until next time and next video, take care. Bye-bye now. If you like what you saw today on the channel, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and I can put out more content. I try to put out a video at least once a week. Thanks a lot.